The Science Adventure series has never been short on ambition. Over the years, Mages and series creator Chiyomaru Shikura have announced numerous projects, ranging from visual novels and anime adaptations to live-action productions and light novels. However, many of these projects have remained in development for years, with little to no updates since their initial reveal. With Steins Reboot finally approaching release, now seems like the perfect time to look back at every announced but unreleased science adventure project and examine where they stand today. We'll begin, of course, with Steins Gate Reboot itself. Steins Gate Reboot is a full remake of the original Steins Gate visual novel. The game was initially expected to release in 2025, but during an interview at the Replay Expo in Shanghai, science adventure producer Tatsuya Matsubara explained that the project had grown more ambitious than originally planned, requiring additional development time. Since both Japanese and English release dates have now been announced, there is little doubt that the project is on track for release. In fact, Reboot appears to have become Mages' primary focus, serving as the centerpiece of the series' current revival efforts. Announced back in 2020, Steins Gate Zero Elite was envisioned as a remake of Steins Gate Zero, using footage and assets from the anime adaptation, similar to what Steins Gate Elite did for the original game. Since its announcement, however, virtually nothing has been shown publicly. Aside from a logo and a handful of screenshots, Mages had provided no meaningful updates on the project. Bassman previously published a deep dive investigation into the game's stages, and we highly recommend reading or watching it for a more detailed overview. As for the future of the project, our guess is that Mages is waiting to see how Steins Gate Reboot performs. If the remake proves successful, it is possible that the company could pivot away from the Elite concept altogether and instead develop a full Steins Gate Zero reboot. Since the original Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero already share many assets, such transition would likely be more practical than creating an additional Elite release. Of course, this remains speculation, and Mages has not commented on its plans. Also announced during the Science Adventure series' 10th anniversary project lineup in 2020 was Steins ? The long-awaited thematic sequel to Steins Gate. The title name is not final. The project was described as a new entry set within the Science Adventure universe, rather than a direct continuation of Steins Gate's story. Beyond that initial reveal, however, almost no information has surfaced over the past 6 years. Given Mages' current focus on Steins Gate Reboot, it seems likely that any major progress on Steins ? Will only be revealed after the remake has been released. For now, the project remains one of the biggest mysteries in the franchise. The live-action adaptation of Steins Gate was originally announced in 2020 in partnership with Skydance Television. Despite the excitement surrounding the announcement, updates have been extremely rare. In January 2024, Chiyomaru Shikura discussed the project in an interview, sharing some of the creative philosophy behind the adaptation. Later that same year, during an interview, Tatsuya Matsubara was asked whether the adaptation was still being produced. His response was brief, but reassuring. The project was still alive, although he could not share any additional details. While the lack of information is frustrating, there have been no indication that the series has been cancelled. For now, it remains quietly in development. At the time of writing, the Occultic 9 light novel series remains unfinished. Only 3 volumes have been released, leaving the story incomplete, despite the novel serving as the original version of the narrative. Thankfully, all 3 volumes received official English translation, and when we reviewed them, we found them quite a nice read. Unfortunately, the first English volume has become increasingly difficult to obtain after going out of print, making it harder for newcomers to experience the series. Whenever Chiyomaru Shikura is asked about the long-awaited 4th volume, he continues to insist that it will eventually be released. However, no release window or concrete details have been ever provided. As a result, Occultic 9 Volume 4 remains one of the franchise's longest-running unanswered questions. Perhaps the oldest unreleased science adventure project is Occultic 9 New World. Originally announced shortly after the release of the Occultic 9 visual novel in 2017, New World was intended to function similarly to Robotics Notes Elite, an enhanced version of the game, featuring revised content, story improvements, and additional material. Over the years, Shikura has repeatedly reaffirmed that the project has not been abandoned. In various interviews, he has spoken about his desire to release an updated version of the game on modern platforms, while also providing existing owners with access to the new content. One interesting challenge involves distribution. Shikura has previously explained that the amount of new content planned for the update could exceed the size limitations typically associated with downloadable content, making a free upgrade difficult to implement. Nearly a decade after its announcement, Occultic 9 New World remains in development, making it one of the longest running projects in Science Adventure series. An anime adaptation of Anonymous Code has been discussed for years, although it has never been formally announced. Rumors surrounding a potential adaptation surfaced as early as 2021, and Chiyomaru Shikura has occasionally commented on the possibility in interviews. In 2022, he stated that adapting Anonymous Code into an anime would be extremely difficult due to the nature of its story, but added that he would love to attempt it someday. Considering how heavily the visual novel relies on concepts and mechanics unique to the medium, his concerns are understandable. Unlike some of the other projects on the list, the Anonymous Code anime technically does not exist as an official announced production. Nevertheless, it remains a project that both fans and Shikura himself appear interested in seeing become reality. Looking at this list, one thing becomes clear. Very few science adventure projects are ever truly cancelled, but they take time. Many projects seem to enter a strange state of limbo, remaining in development for years while Magis focuses on more immediate priorities. With Steins Gate reboot finally approaching release, there is reason to believe that some of these long-dormant projects may eventually return to the spotlight. Whether that means finally seeing more information on Steins Occultic 9 completed, or Steins Gate's live-action adaptation resurfacing remains to be seen. For now, all fans can do is wait, and keep an eye on the next Science Adventure announcements. After all, if Science Adventure has taught us anything over the years, it's that even projects that disappear for a long time have a habit of unexpectedly returning.